First Person is produced in cooperation with the Far East Broadcasting Company, who rejoice in the stories of changed lives through the power of Jesus Christ. Learn more at FEBC.org.
Even though I love my job, working as an engineer, but I always have a heart for people. Nothing is more important for me to see how see people know Christ and life be changed. So that's my passion, my heart.
Our guest this week is a brilliant PhD computer engineer born in China who has a heart to see people turn to Christ for salvation. We'll meet Luke Cheng of the Far East Broadcasting Company. This is First Person, and I'm Wayne Shepherd. Great to have you listening. Stay with us for Luke's story. Occasionally, we share stories of the men and women behind the scenes at FEBC who have such interesting backgrounds and see how God is using them for His kingdom purposes. For previous interviews from a variety of guests and ministries, please visit firstpersoninterview.com. Hundreds of interviews can be heard at our website for your encouragement of how God uses people from all walks of life. Again, go to firstpersoninterview.com. Now, if you prefer, you can also subscribe to this program as a podcast. Use any podcast app and subscribe when you search for First Person with Wayne Shepherd. Luke Cheng is the Executive Director of Chinese Ministries at FEBC. He has a very powerful personal story of faith and how God has given him unique educational opportunities.
Actually, I grew up in China, a small village in north, middle part of China, and from in a big family with 6 kids. So I was the youngest one. From my childhood, my dream is to become a scientist, famous scientist and find a family. That's kind of my life goal.
Mm-hmm.
So after I finished my college, I went to Canada to pursue my graduate studies. That's where I kind of hear the gospel at the first time. So in my school, there was a Chinese a student scholar Bible study group organized by the one seminary schools, which is our school, and also local church. So as an international student, I was invited to attend the Bible study, and then that's time when I hear the gospel and I met a Christian. That's the start point of my faith journey.
So you didn't have any Christian roots back home in China at all. Your family was not Christian.
Not at all. I mean, after becoming a Christian, I even asked my mom, do you even remember any Christian that I have village? She doesn't know, almost nobody. So before I went to Canada, I never met any Christians for sake. Yeah.
Looking backwards, have any of your family come to Christ back in China?
Yeah. I mean, after I become a Christian, so my sister become a believer. I was surprised because we're so close. My younger sister, we're very, very close. And after become Christian, she's very interested in what I believe. And then I think she probably did some homework to understand what I really believe.
Mm-hmm.
And one day she called me and said, tell me that, she become a Christian as well.
Oh.
So I was surprised, and I was so happy for her too. Also, my mom and my dad become a Christian too. It was a long story.
Beautiful.
So my father, when I became Christian, my whole family is kind of was against my faith. They think I was brainwashed by somebody when I was studying in Canada. But eventually my father became a believer a couple of days before he passed away.
Oh, wonderful to have that decision locked in like that. That is great.
Yeah. Also, my mother, she came to visit us a couple of years ago. To spend 3 months with us, and during that 3 months, and I have been shared the gospel with my mother along many years and pray for her ever since I become a believer. But last 2 years ago, when she come to United States, and we continue to share the gospel with her, bring her to church. And sometimes I play the movie, Jesus movie to her. And the day before she went back to China, we can gather together to pray for my mom. And then she told me that she wanted to become a believer.
Oh.
So, God is so gracious to us.
Absolutely. That's a great story. I love it. Well, did the course of your life change then educationally when you turned your life over to Christ? What were you studying, and what did you end up studying?
So I was studying I mean, God changed a lot of like in my education. When I first came to Canada, I was studying like chemical engineering. That's the kind of my major in undergraduate studies. And then I finished my master. I realized, I don't like chemistry that much. So eventually changed to electrical and computer engineering. That's like the most popular major at that time. So I got my master and PhD, eventually getting in computer industry. So I worked for almost 10 years.
Yeah, so you would
Um,
say computer sciences then is your field, your expertise.
yeah, computer engineering. That's my major.
Computer engineering. All right.
Yes.
I failed to ask you about Joy, the joy of your life, your wife Joy, who's been on this program a couple of years ago. Joy told us her testimony. When did the two of you meet, and under what circumstances?
Well, we have a wonderful story. I mean, Joy and I met actually in the Bible study group. So she was a seminary student at the time. So I was a seeker, like a non-believer, so was invited to attend the Bible study group. So we kind of met at this a study group, and then she was leading the Bible study. So that's why when we met and became friends. Um, I still remember after the Bible study, she came to me, asked me like, "Do you want to go to church?" I said, "No, I don't want to go to church because I need to go shopping on Sunday." And then she told me like, if I bring you to for grocery shopping on Saturday, would you consider going to church on Sunday? And I realized I thought I don't have any excuse anymore. So I say yes. So that's why we can become
Yeah.
friends.
And you've been
But the funny thing,
shopping with Joy for groceries ever since, right?
well, the funny thing is actually, we only went for one time, and the next Sunday, next week, actually, my landlord told me that, oh, we're gonna change time from shopping from Sunday to Saturday. So I end up like going shopping with my landlord every Saturday, and then go to church on Sunday. So it's just how it started.
Right. And I should mention, you can go back and listen to Joy in our archive at firstpersoninterview.com. Joy serves alongside you in the FEBC Chinese ministry and is a program host and a wonderful speaker. Now, did the two of you study together at Dallas Theological Seminary?
Well, actually, Joy finished her Master Divinity in Regent College. So back then, so she was a lot earlier in ministry than I am. When I was still studying UBC, which is in Canada, and she already served in Vice Broadcasting in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
So after I finished my PhD, I moved my family to United States because I found a job there. So she quit and then moved from FEBC to Canada, and then moved together with me to United States. So after like I worked for 10 years, I quit my job and attend by Dallas Theological Seminary. That's where she was still homeschooling our three children, but then she took the opportunity to study in DDS as well as a doctor ministry degree there. So yes, we study together in DDS, but in different degree.
Yeah, you have an amazing family. You really do. We love you guys so much. I'm curious, what was the job? You were trained in computer engineering. What was the job that you left to go to Dallas?
After I finished my PhD, I joined Microsoft as a software engineer. So first I work in the search industry, basically like the search engine of Microsoft. And after a couple of years, I moved my job from Microsoft to Amazon, and I worked for the cloud computing division at Amazon. And after 3 years, I moved back to Microsoft again in the cloud computing. So yeah, that's my job experience.
That's a very impressive resume, but it's even more impressive now that you're working for Christ through FEBC. That transition, we talk a lot about God calling people in vocational ministry and all. What was that transition like for you? Was it a tough thing to accept, or talk to me about that?
Yeah, I mean, I got asked a lot about this. And people, actually, my calling started way earlier. right after become a believer, I pray for my parents almost every night because I feel like, after I left China, I will never have any chance to go back to take care of them. So I pray really hard for their salvation. I remember the time when I was a graduate student, I was a lot of time, so I pray every night for my parents. And one night, like when I was praying for them, my heart was so deep touched by God, and I just I say to God, like, Lord, if you save my parents, I will do whatever you call me to do. So that I think that's a time when I kind of offer myself to full time ministry.
Mm-hmm.
But it takes almost 10 years for me to start the journey. Because at the time I was a new believer, only came to Lord for like a year. I was not mature in the character or like, in my work. I was still like graduate student. But after that, I see God leading me in every way. He needed me to finish my study, find a job, and he brought joy to my life. Joy is helper to me. Basically, she's like what she's much early than me in the Lord and in ministry,
Mm-hmm.
and she dedicated her life to serve the Lord even before she came to college. So and also like the God led me to local church to serve, kind of help me to learn how to serve the Lord. So that's kind of a long training for me. Yeah, for almost 10 years. So after I moved to United States, like for work for a couple of years, and also along the way, God always put burden to serve people. Like I always have the heart to, even though love my job, working as an engineer, but I always have a heart for people. Nothing is more important for me to see how see people know Christ and life be changed. So that's my passion, my heart.
We're meeting Luke Cheng of the Far East Broadcasting Company today, and we'll continue the conversation coming up on First Person.
80 years. That's how long the Far East Broadcasting Company has been faithfully proclaiming the gospel message. I'm Ed Cannon, the president of FEBC and a partner in bringing you these weekly first-person interviews. My own faith is encouraged by the stories we hear on this program, just as I'm encouraged by the reports from around the world of how God is glorified when His Word goes forth on FEBC. To join us in celebrating the 80th anniversary, listen to our podcast Until All Have Heard, available on any podcast app or at febc.org.
My guest is Luke Cheng. Luke is the Executive Director of Chinese Ministries for the Far East Broadcasting Company, and how grateful we are for how God has prepared him for this role and is using him in this role in an amazing way. We can't talk about all the details, I'm sure you understand, but believe me, it's incredible. Luke, as a computer engineer working at places like Microsoft and Amazon, did you wonder how can God possibly use a computer engineer in His kingdom? Did that ever cross your mind?
Yeah, I mean that's a question. Not only when I was working as an engineer, but also even after I attend Dallas Seminary. So I remember, I just know that God called me into full-time ministry, but I don't know where I'm gonna serve. So even when after I attend DTS, the first year, I was like praying for my future ministry. I was really kind of struggling to understand, like, I'm not only engineer, but I'm an introvert. I don't like public speaking. That's like my number one fear. I'm an introvert. I don't necessarily work well with, like to stay with people a lot. And I feel like I'm not very good at handling like relationship, so I was wondering how God can use me in ministry anyway. So that's my struggle even before I joined FEBC.
Well, I'll just say this. God has a place for all of us, doesn't He? He has a will for all of us. And as far as I'm concerned, His perfect will is being fulfilled in your life right now for what you're doing with FEBC. I think it's remarkable how God uses various personalities and people with different gifts and training and brings it together. You have a remarkable story. You really do. So how does a computer engineer serve a radio and media ministry like the Far East Broadcasting Company in a world of technological change? I mean, so much is happening. We need to talk about AI and so many other things. And by the way, you had a recent experience where you were especially invited to Cambridge, England to study, and that was a pretty spectacular invitation that you took them up on. Tell me about the course that you took.
Well, I mean, like FEBC from the very beginning. I'll start with the FEBC Ministries. FEBC, the mission is to share Christ to the world through radio at the first. It was formed in 1945 with a mission to reach Chinese through radio. So, I mean, at the very beginning, FEB I feel like has two pillars in terms of ministry: technology and the gospel.
Yeah.
So we want to share the gospel through technology.
Yeah, and radio was the technology of the day, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, 1945 at that time, like the most advanced technology is radio. So our founders used radio, a set of radio stations in Philippines and later in Korea to reach Chinese. A lot of like Chinese hear the gospel for the first time actually with the broadcasting. I went to many different churches to preach and to share about FEB's ministry. Almost everywhere I go, always some Chinese people come to me and tell me that they hear the gospel and become a believer because FEB is broadcasting. So technology play a big role in FEB's ministry. I think that's God's mission for us.
Yeah.
So nowadays, radio is no longer the most popular media anymore. I mean, ever since 2000, FEB's Chinese ministry started to use internet and social media, mobile phones to use as a new channel and a media to reach Chinese. I mean, nowadays, almost everybody I can see. I mean, like in China has a phone. Like my mom, she's 88 years old. She actually has two phones, and with TikTok and WeChat installed on her phone. She actually called me quite often.
Yeah, it's great. Wonderful. Huh?
Yeah, she can call me. Like I remember when I first left China, I have to write letters to my mom. And nowadays, a cell phone becomes the most the media and technology when we reach people.
Far more cell phones in China than there are people in the U.S., I'm told. So.
Yes, that's absolutely correct.
Yeah, I want to come back to this new technology, but did you present a paper at Cambridge? What was that experience like?
I started like a PhD study, kind of part-time PhD at the Cambridge University. It all comes like a couple of years back when AI come along. We were all shocked by the capability by the AI tools like ChatGPT. Also, in the last couple of years, AI has developed so quickly. Actually, AI can do much more than ChatGPT first came along. So, actually, AI has already get into ministry. Many people use it. Like to Bible studies, right? Even and even we don't know if a lot of people came to like the chat AI tools for personal. Advice, even sometimes like comfort, conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So AI, I mean, it will impact every aspect of our life, even in ministry. So, and FEB Chinese ministry, we started using AI to ministry as well. We kind of convert the radio programs into text, and then even try to create a chatbot for people to understand the faith. But along the way, I realized there's the big part of it actually. We want to use it in theologically correct, and also ethical way.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why, and a lot of people come to me, ask me, can we use AI this way? Can we use AI that way? And realize there has to be some study, like theological study on this area. So, I eventually met a professor who was in Edinburgh at that time, but then later he moved to Cambridge, and he's doing research on this subject.
Good. So
I talked to him, try to get his advice, and he encouraged me to do a study for this subject. And I think so that's why I eventually decided to kind of start work on my second PhD.
Your second PhD.
Which is very challenging. I remember after I graduated from DDS, I'd say to myself, I will never go back to school anymore because I had enough of course, exams. I don't want to write any papers anymore.
Don't say never to God.
Yeah. So, but this time my wife also encouraged me when I hesitate to go because all the burden and work I kind of look forward into the future, and she encouraged me to take this because we're not doing it for a degree anymore. It's just more like for God's kingdom because this is such an important subject.
It's wonderful. Yeah. It really is wonderful. So for security reasons, I'm not going to ask you too many deep questions about how you're going about doing what you're doing, but just in general, I get the sense from you that AI is here to stay, and we have to come to terms with it, and we have to use it in a responsible way, but we should be using it in ministry. Does that summarize your feelings?
Yes. Definitely. AI has an amazing capability right now, and also developing rapidly. Whether we like it or not, it will come to. It will be used in many aspects in the society. It also offers a lot of capability for us to use in ministry. Like right now, we're using it. For example, the most widely used probably is like coding, like writing code through use AI. Like we used to take us years, or even like to develop a mobile app, but now it may take only like a couple months. So in the last couple of years, last year we actually developing several, like 3 to 4 apps, just for the ministry in FEBC Chinese ministry. So that's give us like amazing capability
yes.
in the ministry.
Well, I wish this conversation could go on. It is so interesting to talk with you, Luke. But I'd like to ask, is there a particular theme in Scripture, a Scripture verse, something that really has guided your life and really means a lot to you personally?
Well, before when I become a Christian, so like Philippians actually helped me a lot, asked me to always trust God and in every ways. So as I become serving FEBC, it's just like my passion to more toward like share the gospel. Paul's life deeply impacted me. Not just one verse, but also Paul's whole life impacted me. See how he traveled all over the place, has a passion for the lost people, and how he served God faithfully. To me, he's the example for me to serve God.
Our first-person guest has been Luke Cheng, Executive Director of Chinese Ministries at the Far East Broadcasting Company. God has uniquely gifted Luke and his wife Joy, a previous guest on this program, to reach millions of Chinese and Chinese-speaking people around the world. You'll find more information at firstpersoninterview.com. We don't feature FEBC staff all that often on First Person, but it always is encouraging to hear their stories. There's a podcast called Until All Have Heard from FEBC that tells many more stories. Hosted by Ed Cannon, you'll find Until All Have Heard on virtually all of the podcast apps, and you can also listen directly at febc.org. Explore all the episodes at your convenience. Start at the website febc.org. Thank you for listening today. Now, with thanks to my friend and producer Joe Carlson, I'm Wayne Shepherd. Join us next time for First Person.